Hey, what's going on, folks? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Man, I missed y'all. It's been so long. It feels like I haven't seen y'all in a couple of weeks, and it's only been a few days. All right, but I hope everything is going okay. I hope life is treating you well. This episode we will recap Sunday's episode, and man, did they make us wait? They told us they would air the show at 8:30, and then it turns out it didn't come on until 9 Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what time it came on the West Coast, but they certainly made us wait on the East Coast. But yeah, we got a good one. Do you feel bad for Brittany? This episode certainly catered to that particular viewpoint as far as I am concerned. I felt that the editors were trying to sway my emotions as it relates to Brittany. And I want to know, do you feel bad for her? Did the Big Brother editing work? Did it work on you? Um, I'll share whether or not it worked on me as I provide my recap. You know how this goes. I'm going to give a recap, but also be checking out the chat. And if you didn't watch this live, man, you missed out. We do this about maybe 45 minutes to an hour after every show. So if you want to catch this live, then you know what to do. Tune in on my channel. This episode is brought to you by the Really Hood Podcast. That is my podcast available everywhere. Let's jump right in, shall we? So this episode, Brittany admits to trying to vote Taylor out and feeling distant from Taylor. So we all wondered why Brittany decided to make this weird decision to go against Taylor. And if you remember my viewpoint and how I saw this that episode going, I said that Turner would vote to keep Alyssa and that Brittany would vote to keep Taylor. But we all found out the opposite happened. What's up, Jay? Jason Lowe's in the house. What's good, bro? But yeah, we found out that they did the exact opposite. And hey, Jason, let me know if my stream is doing all right. My computer's running like super hard and heavy and hot. But anyway, so we were really confused about that, but Brittany shed some light on why she made that decision. And it turns out Brittany just felt distant from Taylor as Taylor and Monty were heating up. And, I'm just very confused by that. How did Brittany changes her entire gameplay, her entire she basically swaps her friendship for an emotional feeling. And I don't know about you, but that says a lot about her game. It's just like, you're cool with her 1 minute, and if you don't give her attention, she turns on you. I mean, that says a lot. But anyway, that's just my viewpoint. Brittany and Turner have a conversation before the vote. So I didn't know this happened, but Brittany and Turner have some sort of conversation in the storage room just before the vote. So we were able to see that. Brittany tries to convince Turner to give Alyssa a sympathy vote. This move was to blindside Taylor. So Brittany is starting to turn on her strategic chops. And what I mean by that is she has a conversation with Turner prior to the eviction. And Brittany is trying to use a little hocus pocus. As you know, she's a hypnosis. So she tries to get Turner to throw a sympathy vote towards Alyssa, at which they would be able to Brittany would be able to blindside Taylor. And it's crazy because just a week ago, Brittany was working with Taylor. So, I mean, I don't know. For anybody who had questioned Brittany's, character in this game, I think we all see what it is now. She's a player. Some people would use harsher words. I'm not, because I realize that it is a game. And I have no doubt that Brittany is at least a decent individual outside of the game. But she's trying to win some money. She has some dreams and aspirations. So I get that. But the point is, she's certainly shown that she can be a little bit of a slime ball when it comes to the game. And this is definitely evidence of that. She tries to get Turner to and it was pretty smart, actually, because Turner was BFFs with Alyssa. So why wouldn't he give her a sympathy vote? So that was really interesting that he didn't fall for that plan, because the way that it was set up was perfect. All right, my main man Jason Lowe says, yo, what's up? Just found out I'm having a boy. Congratulations, Jay. Jay is having a baby boy. That's amazing. So hey, let me be the godfather. I'm Rick the Dog for Rick. All right, your screen is perfect. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. Bro, my DVR didn't record the whole episode that they played the video today. Jason, you already know what's up, man. You already know you're in the best place possible, because I got you covered. Don't even worry about the DVR. Everything you need is about to get said right now. I got some great notes. Look at all these notes. You about to get what you came to get, Jay. All right, so Brittany and Taylor have a convo following Alyssa's exit. So after Alyssa is voted out, Taylor is very confused. This was something I was always confused. Jason Lowe is laughing. I was always confused about that. I'm like, why don't people, once they're voted out, I should put it this way. Once people are voted out, I always wonder, how do they know who plays what votes, because they vote in private? And I was always confused about that. But this episode certainly proved to me that when a person gets votes or what have you, nobody really knows who placed what votes. So in this case, Brittany and Taylor have a conversation about, hey, so what was up with that? Who sent the vote toward my way? I'm speaking in terms of Taylor's point of view. And Brittany immediately throws Turner under the bus and basically blames the vote on Turner. And I was like, oh, okay, so that can happen. So yeah, you can mask your vote, because with there being so few people in the house, there's a way you can mask it. And I was very surprised that Brittany made this decision, because it's like, hey, Brittany, if this doesn't go your way, this blows up your entire game. And it only takes for Taylor to have a conversation with Turner, and this entire idea that Brittany's conjuring up could definitely fall by the wayside. But Brittany lies to Taylor about voting against her. And can you believe this? It works. Taylor does not immediately call BS on Brittany. In fact, she finds it quite plausible that Turner would throw a vote her way. And the entire week, though they sum it up rather quickly, but the entire week, Taylor is weighing these two possibilities, and she doesn't find out the answer, at least unless you got live feed access, in which she knows now. You don't see that conclusion happen for Taylor. All right, Jason says, you think Taylor believes Brittany for real? I absolutely do, Jay, because in this episode, she never definitively said, I don't believe Brittany. She never says that. And also, several times in this episode, she says, look, I can't really figure out which one is telling the truth, but she still says that she wants Turner out because she realizes that Turner is a bigger threat. So that happens. Taylor isn't sure who to believe. That's in my notes. Okay, but anyway, Monty reveals seeing Brittany look sad about the vote. So at one point, you see Taylor, Monty, and Turner having a conversation in the bathroom. And Monty, being on the side of Turner, is trying to get Taylor to see, like, hey, I'm just trying to tell you, Brittany looked real sad when she saw Alyssa walking out. If Brittany was the one who voted to keep you, Taylor, she would not have looked that way when Alyssa left. So Monty is trying to convey to Taylor, like, listen, hey, I know that Turner seems to be more likely to make that kind of move, which is a vote against you. But in this case, believe it or not, it's probably Brittany, because I saw her face once Alyssa was walking out. So that is what Monty is trying to convey to Taylor. Taylor talks about Black women's place in history, and she does this in front of Monty and Turner while they're having the conversation about, Brittany possibly being the person who laid the vote against Taylor. But she notes that there has really never been a Black woman in the top three outside of Isa, and I believe she said someone else by the name of Daniela. All right, I'm paraphrasing. I can't quite remember the name. But she also notes that there's only been one Black woman in the finals. So that conversation happens. And, I have to be honest with you here and say, I thought it was a bad move on the account that, you don't want to throw history in the face of the people who are responsible for taking you. Why? Because if it's you and Brittany, and maybe let's say Turner is making the deciding vote to take one of you two with him, I'm not going to take the person who can make history, because people might actually feel more sympathetic towards that story. Like, oh wow, we can make history tonight, guys. And plus, Taylor did play a good game. Let's give our votes to Taylor, so we can say we're the people who nominated and allowed supported the first Black woman for winning Big Brother. So I felt that Taylor should have saved that beautiful point. That's a great point. But I just think she said it in the wrong space. You say that in the final two, once you get there. That's just my personal opinion from a gameplay perspective. Taylor and Brittany have a conversation. Brittany continues to throw Turner under the bus. I cannot tell you how difficult it was to watch Brittany lie on Turner. Listen, I am someone who saw Brittany as, a really honest person, but I guess I can't be surprised. She did align herself with an attorney, and they became great friends. So I think that says a lot. And also, when it came time to, she flipped Kyle's words. And also, once Michael started to see a little trouble, Brittany had no problem making final two deals behind Michael's back. And I have to say, Brittany has certainly made a heel turn for me. Okay, she is now looking like someone who quite potentially is playing the villain. I mean, can you even imagine someone as squeaky and nice as Brittany being the villain? Well, you don't have to imagine too hard, because in this episode, you certainly see a lot of evidence which suggests that she could play that role very, very well, because she is throwing Turner under the bus. And she even makes a, I don't know if this is inappropriate or not, but she says, "Hey, I'll take the keys from Terrence's bus and drive the bus over Turner myself," or something to that effect. I'm like, wow, okay, all right, okay. So Brittany is this is the Brittany that we okay, all right. Check, please. Okay, but yeah, so that was hard for me to watch because I know that Turner is being honest, and yeah, it just didn't really seem to matter. But anyway, Brittany continues to lie to Taylor, and Taylor is even more confused than before, if you can believe that. But something happens where I was like, finally, like how long was it going to take for this to happen? My main man Jason Lowe says Brittany is actually playing the game at this point. Yes, she is, and like I said, I'm going to give her the grace to do that. This is a game, and you definitely have to keep everything in context. But the real question is she choosing to do so too late? Debatable. Because hey, it's never, it's better late than never, right? But anyway, Turner forces a chat with Brittany. Brittany chooses not to say anything. So this was something I was screaming at the television for Turner to do. I'm like, Turner, have a conversation with Brittany, or even better, have a conversation with Brittany in front of Taylor so that you can allow Taylor to see Brittany squirm. For whatever reason, Turner does not choose to do that. If I'm in this situation where Taylor is not quite sure who laid the vote against her and she's the HOH, I'm like, hey, Taylor, just to kind of like be very transparent, can we have a conversation in front of Brittany? Turner never does that on the edited version of the show. Did it happen in the live feeds? I can't tell you, but I know that I was screaming at the television for that to happen. But Turner does the next best thing, and that is have a conversation with Brittany face to face and allow the viewers to see what happens. And Brittany does a spectacular job at deflecting, because we were all expecting the typical Brittany, where she's very loose-lipped and she's giving all these different secrets and information. Well, in this case, she borrowed a book or a page from Michael's book and just didn't say anything. She played the perfect attorney game. What you say can be used against you. And by this point, Brittany has a pretty decent understanding of how Turner plays. You give him anything, he runs straight to the HOH room. So Brittany does an amazing job by not saying a single peep about anything. And she basically just kind of gives him the nod treatment. Like, okay, all right, well, thank you for this conversation. And Turner is absolutely boiling hot because Brittany chooses to play the game that way. Okay, but anyway, Turner calls Brittany. Oh, then Turner calls Brittany's gameplay slimy, if you can believe that. But Brittany does a wonderful job at saying, "Wait a minute, Turner, you're also playing a slimy game." Now, Turner doesn't call Brittany's game slimy to her face, but he does say something to the effect of, "Nice job, Brittany. Now I see how it is," or something like that. So he does say that to her face. But Turner goes directly to Monty and Taylor to vent. So after Turner has this conversation with Brittany, in which Brittany doesn't give him anything, he does exactly what Brittany said he would do, and he goes straight to Turner and Monty in the HOH room, and he vents. He's like very upset. He even breaks down crying, saying, I can't believe that she lied this way. Of course, Taylor and Monty, to Turner's face, are very supportive of Turner. But in Taylor's diary room confessions, she does note that she feels that it might be a little bit of the waterworks, that Turner may be landing on a little bit too thick and maybe acting. So that happens. But I want to just quickly comment on the fact that Brittany does an amazing job by saying, wait a minute, Turner, while they're having this conversation and Turner is laying all the blame on Brittany for playing this slimy game, Brittany does an amazing job and say, wait a minute, Turner, if I'm playing a slimy game, so are you, because let's face it, you put a vote against Alyssa, who was your BFF. So if I'm playing a slimy game by voting against Taylor, then so are you, Turner, by voting against Alyssa. So I'll have to say that Brittany did a masterful job in deflecting and keeping herself from looking like the villain, if you will. But anyway, Turner tears up. He's telling his side of the story. Taylor isn't buying. Taylor puts up Turner and Brittany. So let's go ahead and fast forward just a bit. Taylor pretty much resorts to the fact that she can't quite figure out who's telling the truth between Brittany and Turner. So rather than trying to figure out who's being honest and who's being deceitful, she puts them both on the block and lets fate decide. Like, hey, I don't really trust either of you 100%. but she's of course leaning more towards Brittany. But to allow Faye to decide, she said, "Hey, if you're telling the truth, or whether you're not telling the truth, or what have you, you have to face it out in the veto because, as the contestants continue to say, this was the most important veto of the season because whoever won the veto had the sole vote this week. Okay, and they decided who came or who went to the final three. So they all understand the impact of winning this veto. And according to Taylor, let's let these two duke it out and let them decide, or let fate decide who actually makes it to the next level." And I thought that was pretty clever. But anyway, Taylor admits to wanting Turner out. So this is where we realize, despite Turner or Brittany being honest or dishonest, Taylor doesn't really care at all. Brittany could be lying. Taylor doesn't care. Turner could be lying. Taylor doesn't care. She pretty much lays out her blueprint, her plan for getting to the final two, and that does not include Turner. She realizes that Turner, if he has the choice to pick between anybody in the house, he's going to take Monty to the final two. And because of that, Taylor doesn't trust Turner at all. And that's even if he voted to evict Alyssa in favor of her, right? She doesn't really care. She's like, listen, you got to go, all right, because you're not good for her game. And she also notes that, hey, even if Brittany did vote to evict me, I'm talking about from Taylor's point of view. Taylor pretty much notes that even if Brittany sent a vote her way, she doesn't even care because she realizes that she can beat Brittany in the final two. So in actuality, she's okay with Brittany having voted for her or not. It doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, she wants to take Brittany to the finals so that she can beat her. And she actually says that to the public, to the viewers. She says, I want Brittany in the final two because I know I can beat her. And that was very surprising. I didn't really hear Taylor talking in that manner or that context with that type of bravado, but she's like, look, she's beating her chest at this point. Like, look, I got 2 HOHs. I survived tons of eliminations and evictions. All my enemies were taken out consecutively. I can beat Brittany in the final two. That's even if she voted to evict me, right? So that's what happens, and that's what she says, and I thought that was interesting. But anyway, Brittany has a convo with Taylor. Brittany doubles down on Turner being the one that flipped. Again, this is maybe the third time in this episode where Brittany is outright lying to Taylor's face. And like I said, it was very hard to watch if you want my opinion on it. But again, Taylor didn't care who was lying. She just wants Brittany in the final two so that she can beat her. She does say that. All right. Anyway, so the veto competition happens. And let me tell you, this was an interesting veto. It was a memory competition in which the players had to recall the day that things happened in the season. And this is a staple in the Big Brother game. It's one that I always say, if I played the game, I would do terrible at because, look, I'm okay to remember a lot of things. I have a pretty good to decent memory, probably even above average. But when it comes to individual days, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you what I did last Monday. I'm not even joking. I can barely tell you what I did 4 days ago, let alone 67 days ago. So this was a very challenging competition. Anyway, Jason Lowe says Taylor is being smart, not getting emotional. I have to agree with you, Jay, because in that situation, she certainly could have did what she did in her first HOH. I don't know if anyone remembers, but in Taylor's first HOH, she's completely like, whoever says something last, she's on their side. Okay, oh, you say you don't like this person? Okay, well, let's get that person out. That was her gameplay in her first HOH. So apparently a little maturation took place because in this situation, she doesn't even care who is saying what. She knows what her aim is and what her goal is. And at the end of the day, that's all that she cares about. She doesn't care about all the details. So I have to agree with you, Jay. She certainly showed some maturation as it relates to her HOH and gameplay overall. But like I said, this veto was very, very interesting. And you see the contestants struggling, okay? Brittany even notes that in this veto, she had studied for the last 2 months every single big event that happened in the game. And the way that they set up the veto competition, in my opinion, was really, really smart. You had to use, it was like a calculator that had numbers 1 through 0. And then on the other side of the wall, you had these pictures, and you had to use the numbers from the calculator to put that particular day that picture took place. And you had to do all that. And then once all of that was done, you had to add up all the days that you had, figured out on this board and get to a final number, a 3-digit number. And let me tell you, they struggle mightily to do that. And I'm telling you, it's not that much of a surprise because, like I said, it was like 2 competitions in one. the first thing you had to do was you had to remember what day everything occurred. But then you also had to be pretty good at math, because once you had your dates aligned, you had to take all these numbers and calculate them to get one final number. And let me tell you, that was a challenge. Now, I know on the show that particular veto happened in about, I want to say, maybe 10 to 12 minutes, but I'm willing to guess that in real time, that veto must have taken between 1 and 3 hours. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I haven't been watching the live feeds, like, I haven't been listening to my Facebook groups. Like, I was really busy, so I haven't been able to get like an ear on the game. I'm pretty sure the veto competition winner was announced maybe a few days ago, but I literally found out during the edited version of the show. And let me tell you, it just seemed like it took a long time. I would say, if I had to give you an understanding of who was in what place, Taylor was by far the person in last place. You just never saw her gain a rhythm. And it really became down to Turner, Brittany, and Monty. But then you kind of noticed that Turner is slowing down. And I'll have to be honest, I thought Turner would win this competition because he had a really cool strategy, and he had this weird way of notifying himself of what days things happen. So the show does give Turner a really interesting edit, which makes the viewer believe that he would win. But pretty soon they stop focusing on Turner, and it kind of keeps swapping between Brittany and Monty. And they get, they get very close, and they do a really interesting thing with the edit where Brittany has just one more thing to put on the board. She puts that one number on the board and then runs to the little button to push to see if she's actually correct. And as she's pushing the button, the show goes on commercial break. So I'm pretty much ready to write down in my notes that Brittany won the veto, because I'm like, there's no way she didn't win. She got really, really close, and then they go to commercial break. But when they come back from commercial break, you find out that Brittany, what's up, Tim? My main man Tim is in the building. Hey there, I'm just now watching tonight's show. What's up, T? But yeah, so you find out that they come back from commercial break, and they found out that Brittany does not win the veto at that particular moment. So that happens. But anyway, I wrote down Brittany comes very close several times. So the show was just like playing on your emotions with the edit. That's why I like the edited version. They're playing with your emotions because they know who you want to see win, or they know who you think will win. And they're constantly showing Brittany get extremely close. But then this happens. They start to focus more on Monty, and Monty is absolutely killing it. He's starting to get close. He's getting closer and closer and closer. And you start to figure it out, like, wait a minute, if Brittany was going to win, they would have probably allowed her to win right before the commercial break. But there's a reason they did that. They wanted to keep you on the edge of your seat. And now Monty is getting a lot of camera time. So you start to figure it out that it's going to be between Brittany and Monty. But nevertheless, Monty wins the veto, if you can believe that. I could not believe that. Monty pulls off the most important veto win of the summer, and I could not help myself but just say, okay, young man, all right, you have arrived. Okay, now there has been a lot of chat between the BB verse as it relates to Monty or Turner being the stronger player, and I have to tell you, I'm starting to lean towards Monty at this point. While Turner does have some HOH wins and things of that nature, Monty is building a really nice portfolio while at the same time staying out of dodge and not being a real target. I have to say that he's making a compelling case against Turner should they sit next to each other in the final two. So we see that happen, and Monty wins the veto. So after the motivation behind the title that I selected for this episode, and that is, do you feel bad for Brittany? There were several times in this competition where you basically just hear Brittany just crying almost in her diary room confessions as they're swapping between the diary room confessions and what Brittany is doing in the veto competition. She's like, just like, I was so close. You know how she talks. I was so close. It's one number. I know these numbers. Like, she's like panicking. She's almost on the brink of tears as she's trying to figure out what's going on. And why her numbers are not getting her the win. She's putting numbers in and pressing the veto button, like checking to see if she's right. And at no point does she actually get the what's up, Tracy? Yo. Tracy's in the building. What's up, Tracy? And Tim says, I thought tonight's show was the recap show for the season. So was like, I can miss this one until tomorrow. You're right, Tim. I had the exact same thought process. But I said, let me just watch, because even if it's a recap show, they should show who Taylor puts up on the block. So I almost skipped it, but I said, let me check it out. But this was an actual show. Tracy says in the beginning, she used to co-sign the Mean Girls. Yeah, we know about the beginning, and you can't forget the beginning. And I think you have to take that type of stuff into account. But yeah, Tracy's in the building. But yeah, so you start to feel bad. Well, at least BB tries to make you feel bad for Brittany because you just see her wailing in pain. You see her on the brink of tears because she really, really wants to win this veto. So that was the question. Do you feel bad for Brittany? Because apparently the Big Brother editors are certainly trying to make you feel that way. I will save how I feel a little bit for maybe a few more minutes. I just want to get everyone's take on how they feel about Brittany. Did the Big Brother editors work? That they get you to feel some type of sympathy for the same individual who has done some of these things in the game? That's the question. But anyway, you see Monty win, and then he's on 100. He flexes. He's just like absolutely feeling himself, and that happens. But anyway, Brittany talks with Taylor about her chances. Brittany hopes that Monty will see Turner as a threat against his game. So after the veto competition, Brittany and Taylor go to the storage room, and Brittany is still trying to keep up appearances. She's still giving Taylor the idea, or at least the sense, that Turner was the one who laid that vote against her. And on top of that, Brittany smartly tries to get in Taylor's ear because she knows that Taylor has the ear of Monty. So Brittany doesn't go to Monty and tries to plead with him because they don't really have much of a friendship in the game. They just don't. So what Brittany does is the next best thing is get to the person who can actually sway Monty emotionally. And Brittany is like, hey, Taylor, look, she's kind of doing her little spiel. And she makes a very compelling point to Taylor, which Taylor can't deny. And that is, if Turner goes to the finals, he's basically a watered down version of Michael, meaning that he's going to win the game because he's done a lot in the game. And Taylor just happens to agree. Now, this is why I was really confused once Brittany tries to vote Taylor out, because I'm like, hey, Brittany, y'all was just cool. Y'all were both confiding about your feelings against Turner. And now you're doing Turner's work by voting to keep Alyssa. That didn't make any sense, which I think speaks a lot to Brittany's gameplay. It's just all over the place. You know what I mean? So, but she's now at this point back on the Taylor bandwagon and trying to get Taylor to make a move for her by going to Monty and swaying him emotionally. So Brittany does lay out some very common sense concepts and ideas. Hey, if he gets there, we lose. And then Taylor takes what Brittany's saying, hook, line, and sinker. And she says something that I cannot believe she said. And I knew that the BB verse would take this and run with it. But Taylor says, okay, Brittany, let me do my work. I was like, oh my gosh, come on, Taylor. Why would you? Come on, don't do that. Don't, because I'm like, I get what she's saying, but I don't know if I get what she's saying. If you know what I mean? So, but I know people who hate Taylor, and there's a lot of people that dislike her gameplay, dislike her for whatever reason. There's a lot of different reasons why people state that they don't like Taylor. But I'm like, they're going to take that and run with it. I've heard a lot of whispers out there that Taylor is using, Monty to get further in the game. I saw that, and I just thought it was unfair on the account that when Alyssa was doing it for Kyle, no one really, well, actually, people called it out. I know I did, but I'm just saying it just feels a little different. I'm like, wait a minute, if she is using that type of gameplay, I mean, Alyssa just used it. Do you think Alyssa gets as far as she does without Kyle in that whole showman situation? I don't think so. So I just thought that was interesting for certain. But anyway, but Taylor says some interesting things. She says, and you can't, and this is the crazy part. Taylor says it. So you can't get, Taylor says it. It's not like Terrence is saying it or saying it about Taylor. Taylor says, let me do my work. And I'm like, oh, I hope she means just having a conversation with Monty. And so then they go to they switch to the HOH room, and you see Taylor and Monty in the HOH room, and Taylor is preparing to do her work. All right, so we kind of figure it out, like, okay, at least I was. I'm like, let me see where this goes. I hope that it goes well. But anyway, Taylor lets it slip that she wants a final two with Monty. Listen, this is the most surprising part of the show for me, outside of the veto winner, of course. But Monty and Taylor instantly embrace once they're in private. And I knew that they had a showmance. I knew that things were heating up against with those two, but not to this extent. I mean, they just bust out busting slobs, tongue kissing, all kind of. She jumps on them. I'm like, it's like, where was I when all this happened? Like, I know about the kisses, and I heard a lot of things, but I'm like, oh, they're in a relationship. This ain't no showman. Like, a showman still sounds pretty innocent. It sounds like, oh, they're getting there. Nah, they about to get married and have kids. That's what I saw tonight. So that happens, and they just and then Taylor lets it slip that no, they both let it slip, but I say Taylor initiates it, and they say final two. You hear Taylor says final two, and she busts a big old kiss on Monty. So apparently, there's an invisible. Like what did I miss this? So Monty and Taylor have a final two. I didn't know that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can just pretty much use common sense and say, hey, they have a showman's that might, and that might be a final two situation. I get that, but it's common sense. But I'm just saying I had not heard it explicitly. I haven't heard it from either of their lips. I kind of had to insinuate like, okay, they're showman's, they're final two. But no, they have a legitimate final two deal in place, and Taylor in her diary room confessions almost kind of feels bad that she let it slip because she probably doesn't want to go to the final two with Monty, right? And she might want to actually take Brittany. Now, I will say between Taylor and Monty, Taylor seems to be driving the relationship. She seems to have the dominant role in the relationship. Monty, you just can't help but just like think about Samson and Delilah. Like Monty is this big warrior guy, and you just can't help but feel like he's being a little manipulated. Okay, and he can't do anything with Taylor. Taylor is gorgeous. Okay, and you see that so many times in the episode. Like she is I know people don't want to hear this, but I just got to get off my chest. This woman is absolutely stunning, and Monty is putty in her hand. There is nothing Monty can do against the beauties of Taylor, and you just can't. You see it all over the place. Taylor's in the driving seat when it comes to this relationship. And Monty is like, so what do you want me to do? And and he tries to convince us, the viewers, that he has a little self-control when it comes to Taylor, but we just know he doesn't. He says something to the effect of, the decision really comes down to me, and I'll figure it out. I just need some time to think. I'm like, boy, stop. You know darn well you're not gonna do nothing that Taylor don't want you to do. It will not surprise me, and I'll say it right now. It will not surprise me if Monty at this point turns on Turner. It wouldn't surprise me because he just doesn't show that he has any control over his emotions as it relates to Taylor. He did not expect this, and I think he's falling for her. Okay, I think she likes him a lot, but I think between the two of them, Taylor has her feet more firmly on the ground and is not floating in love. Monty is about to float away. Okay, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose some money. And I even go as far as saying that Taylor appears to me, and call me crazy, but Taylor appears to me, though she does like Monty, it just seems to me that she likes $750,000 more. Look, don't get me wrong. You can tell she likes Monty, but the way that she talks, like, let me do my work, it lets me know that she still has the money in focus. And let me tell you something. Here's my opinion on the situation. If Monty and Brittany were in the final three, and Taylor was the deciding vote, I am willing to bet, and I don't bet, so I'll say I am willing to say that I believe that Taylor would bring Brittany to the final two over Monty. But if the situation is in reverse, where Monty is making the sole vote between Taylor and Turner, Monty is 100% bringing Taylor along to the final two. Taylor, I don't believe will do that. I don't think Taylor would take Monty over Brittany. I don't see that as a possibility. So what do you think about that? Do you think that Monty is playing his game still, or do you think his game has been manipulated to a sense that now he's playing a game that is heavily influenced by Taylor? All right, that's my question to you. My main man Tim says was going to tell you that week about the rumor about Terrence got kicked out of the jury house. What? Guess he did, or was going to go crazy on Michael. Guess he might be at a hotel. What happened? Well, hold on. What's going on, Tim? I got Momager G in the building. What's up? Hey, so Tim, what happened? Like, I missed that. I missed all that. So don't know too much about it. Don't know too much about it though. So Tim, if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, Terrence is no longer in the jury house. That's news to me. So that's why I got friends who know about the game too, because I don't know everything about the game. I don't see the live feeds. Let me know if that's confirmed, Tim, if you know anything about that. I know you just kind of hearing about it yourself, it sounds like, but I would like to know a little more about that. If Terrence is now out of the house as a result of having an issue with Michael. I didn't know anything about that. Tracy says that Torres ain't marrying Taylor. All right, Tracy. Okay. All right. Monty was chasing after Paloma and Amira first. So Tracy is all right. respect. Look, I'm just going off of what I see, Tracy. It's not my fault. What I'm seeing is this man is falling in love before my eyes. Now, listen, Tracy, one thing I got over you is I'm a man myself. So I know how men are. I know the cues of a man. And let me tell you, the cues I'm getting, and I'm pretty sure there might be some guys in here who might be able to confer, but the cues I'm getting from Monty, they suggest that he's a little more in love than he might be letting on. Look, listen, guys don't do the stuff I'm seeing that Monty's doing. Like you saw him kneel before Taylor on the bed. He's got his head in her bosom, and he's allowing Taylor to rub his head. Look, let me tell you, Paloma ain't never did that to Monty, and neither has Amira. So let me tell you something right now. Monty likes Taylor more than he liked Amira and Paloma combined. Okay, I never saw Monty kiss Amira or Paloma, and I don't watch the live feeds. Maybe he did, but I ain't see him kiss her like he kissed Taylor. All right, come on now, Tracy, give me a little bit. All right, so Mama just says, just read on Twitter that he just broke up with her. What? Come on, are you serious? I talk. Look, you know what? You know, y'all making me look bad. You're making me look like I don't know what's going on. Okay, that's what y'all making me. That's what y'all doing. You got my main man Tim telling me about the freaking situation with Terrence and Michael, and now I'm hearing that Monty just broke up with Taylor. What does that suggest? That implies that Taylor must have been landing on too thick. Monty is starting to get nervous, and he has ultimately decided to take Turner to the final two, which is absolutely bonkers when you really stop and think about it. But that's another discussion for a different day. Yes, Tim is right. Spoiler Girl on Twitter said it. So Spoiler Girl is the girl to know everything. She basically is in the house and she's wearing a cloak jacket and she knows everything before everybody else, including me, especially me. It was on Facebook, but you know that stuff was on Facebook. Tracy says Capricorn women like Taylor are focused on money and the prestige that comes from being the first Black female winner. All right, you using Zodiac ideology. Listen, I respect everybody's viewpoint. When it comes to Zodiac, I was out of that boat a long time ago. Somebody told me I was a Pisces, and I was like, how am I a fish and I can't swim? So when I put those two things together, I jumped out of the Zodiac boat. I was like, I don't know if I'm be able to follow that too much because they telling me I'm a fish, but if you drop me in some water, I'll be a goldfish. All right, so let me tell you. But no, yeah. So Tracy, that's still a good point though. Monty, or I should say Taylor rather, is certainly thinking about the prestige and thinking about the money. And thinking about things of that nature. So no, Tracy, they say I'm a Pisces, but when like if I can be honest with you, I don't really buy into it because you know, I can't swim, you know, and that for me was enough for me to say, okay, maybe the Zodiac thing is something that was cool in high school, but as an adult, I can't subscribe to it. However, I respect everybody's viewpoint. That's how I am. I respect everybody. You know what I'm saying? In your world, I'll be a fish. In mine, I'm just me. That's all good. But no, so I'll now reveal how I feel about Brittany. Obviously, the edit wanted me to feel bad for Brittany, and I have to say that I do not feel bad for Brittany because this is a competitive game, and this is a game about strategy. And certainly, I will not let anybody manipulate me as the viewer. That includes Taylor, Monty, Turner, or Brittany. Okay, your story is your story. You want to win just like these other players want to win. I'm not going to lean towards you because of your story. I'm not going to lean towards you because of whatever reason. I want the best player to win this game. I want the best two players to sit in those final two seats. I don't care about your story. I don't care about this, that, or the next. I don't care about your home situation. I want the player who wins to be the player who deserves to win. I always say that when it comes to competitive sports. A lot of times I'll put my own biases to the back seat and say, look, I want the best player to win. Do I have a preference? Sure, I do. Of the four players still in the game, I would prefer to see Taylor win. And it's just because of her story arc. I think most times when I'm watching Big Brother, I look at the player who best represents the season. And that's the person who I usually want to win, which is why it really bothered me the year that Paul lost to Josh. I said, Paul absolutely dominated this season. Tracy, who's laughing at me, Paul dominated this season. I just cannot get with the fact that you allow a guy who cried and sobbed all year to win. Okay, it just really bothered me. So when it comes to the Big Brother game, and they only did that because they were spiteful. And you know, again, you know, to be honest with you, Paul played a terrible game as it relates to jury management. You don't backstab everybody, all right, even your best friends. But anyway, the point is, I want a player who best represents the entire season. And for me, that is Taylor, someone who's been at the very, very bottom, was the first one pegged to go home. and then something crazy happened, Paloma going out, which allowed her to stay, and then everyone who targeted Taylor. Look, I'm not going to give you that because that's just my viewpoint. But the point is, if I have a preference, it'll be Taylor. But even though that is my preference, I want the player who deserves it to win. So if Taylor gets to the final 2 or she gets knocked out in the final 3 as a result of her gameplay, then so be it. Okay. Everybody has their horse in this race. And for me, though I do have my horse in the race, I still want the better player who deserves to win to represent the season, because the person who wins does represent the season. Okay, that's the person whose face will be the first face and name you hear when you go back to that season. That's just how it goes. So that's where I'm at with it. And no, I don't feel sorry for Brittany. I mean, I'm sure you really wanted to win the competition. I'm sure you really wanted to do this, that, or the next. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't do something right. You said you studied the show and the episodes and the number of days or whatever for the last 2 months. Maybe you didn't study as much as you think you did. Maybe somebody else studied a little bit more. So look, this is a game, and that's it. So no, I don't feel bad. I don't feel sorry for her, and why should I? It's a competitive game, and that's it. That's how I feel about it. And I will be honest and say that regardless of Brittany winning that veto or not, I think she is all but guaranteed to go in the final 2 or sit in the final 2 seat, because of the 4 players left, it is my opinion that Brittany has played I keep kicking my thing. But Brittany has played the least powerful game of the 4 standing. Turner, Taylor, and Monty, in my opinion, are all heavyweights. They're all heavyweights. Monty has played a heck of a game, won multiple vetoes. I think he's won multiple HOHs, if I'm not mistaken. He's well-rounded in terms of a social player. Turner's won multiple HOHs. I think he's won maybe a veto or so. Great social player. Taylor has 2 HOHs. Played an amazing game in terms of socially. Well, I don't know. Maybe I think that might be a stretch. But the point is, she's still in the game, and everybody who targeted her is not. How about that one? So yes, and then when it comes to Brittany is starting to heat up. I give her that, but certainly, I think she has the least impressive resume of the 4 players still in the game. So that's where I'm at with it, folks. That's all I got, and I'm gonna do another episode in which I wrote it down. All right, here we go. So as you know, I try to do at least 2 episodes on game day. In my next episode, I will be asking, who would you evict if you were in Monty's position? Would you evict Brittany or Turner? All right, that's a big question that's very loaded. And as much as I want to talk about that in this episode, I did want to make sure this was a recap. But in the next episode, we'll do a preview. If you happen to be up and stay along with me, in about 15 minutes, I'll be doing a preview. And I would like to put ourselves in Monty's shoes and kind of weigh the options that are on the table for him and what you would do if you were in that situation. So that is what we're going to do next if you're still around. Anyway, Monty is very pitiful. He told Turner about him and Taylor, but he broke up with her over headphones. Mama G, is that what happened? It was headphones? Come on. But listen, it's all good. It's all good. Let me tell you something. I knew Monty was no good from the first week of him being in the game. Okay, when Taylor went to him and told Monty what was going on with the girls targeting the guys, what did Monty do? Monty went straight to Paloma after hearing all that information from Taylor and told Paloma everything. And not only that, not only did he tell her everything, Paloma was able to sucker this guy into believing her. Like, no, we're not trying to do anything. Taylor's just trying to make up something. He was that guy. So I told everyone, and I'm going to continue to say it, I am not big on Monty. Okay, I know he's a good-looking guy. I know he's very charming and charismatic, but I'm not a Monty fan. I just think he just doesn't. I remember that week, and when I saw that he did that to Taylor, and it wasn't so much that he did it to Taylor. That was just BB gameplay that I just didn't respect. Someone gives you intel, you don't go to the person that they told you said something. That's absurd. So when I saw that from Monty, I'm like, I can't rock with this guy. And that's from now and forever. If he comes back for BB All-Stars, I just can't rock with Monty. If he goes on a challenge and starts playing the challenge, I will never rock with Monty. I just can't rock with his gameplay. I just can't. I don't respect the way he plays the game. And if he just broke up with, breakup is a strong word because I don't even know how serious his relationship is. But if he just broke up with Taylor over some headphones, I think it just compounds my point. But I don't feel sorry for Taylor either, because let's face it, she's manipulating him too. So whatever. I don't. It's a game for me. Brittany won more than Turner this season. Come on now, Jason. Are you serious, Jason? You got to be kidding me right now. Brittany ain't win much of nothing. Look, I think, did Brittany even win an HOH? No, you got to, Jason. You be saying stuff like that, and then I be going to find out you be lying. You be wrong about stuff. Ain't no way in the world that Brittany won more than Turner. Come on now. You gotta go fact check that, Jason. You know that I don't believe that one. Brittany didn't win nothing. You know what it is, Jay? No, 4 vetoes. Come on, Jason. Come on, I need to fact. You know what, Jason? I'm gonna say you right now. Then I'm gonna go find out myself, because you know how you be telling me stuff and I be finding out you be wrong about stuff. Yeah, you talking about Brittany won 4 vetoes. You sure about that, Jay? Now, even if she won 4 vetoes, Jason, she didn't win. Jay, she didn't win no HOHs though, right? My man Tim says I might be done watching tonight's episode. Yeah, man. Yeah, I get it. I told you that Taurus, man, they was all play. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah. If he is everything that a Taurus is supposed to be, which I have no idea what they are, he is all play. I don't trust nothing that Monty say at all. Tracy says, don't talk about Mother Taylor. Oh, come on now. Look. Everybody's fair game. Tracy. All right, then my main man Jay says even Turner says it's up. What do you say? Even Turner says it to Monty. Yep. Mama just says Michael won it for the both of them. True. That's what I was saying. I was thinking that Brittany didn't win. I don't remember Brittany winning 4 vetoes. Don't get me wrong, she may have, and I will go look. I'm just messing around with Jay. That's my main man. But I will go just double check that, because the reason I'm going to check it, Jay, is because I want to make sure I'm not wrong. In my mind, Turner has by far outplayed Brittany. And if Brittany has more anything than Turner, I need to know that, because that's going to factor into what I need to say and what I need to do, or how I see the game. Maybe I'm seeing the game wrong. But it's my opinion that this is the Mandela effect, Jason, that what you saw Brittany win was actually the work of Michael, all right? And you just saw as soon as Michael won and his hand went up, Brittany ran to his arm and raised her arm with it. That's what you probably saw, Jason. All right, the Mandela effect. You got to go read up about that. Brittany ain't win no 4 vetoes. Let me go check that out when I get some time. All right. Jason says no HOHs but 4 vetoes. Okay, that sounds more like it. I know she didn't win any HOHs. I'm still questioning the 4 vetoes, Jay. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now you know you're my man, but I gotta check that one, because boy, if Brittany won 4 vetoes, that'd be news to me. And name those competitions if you got a chance. Anyway, Jason Jason says Turner told Monty Brittany has more comp wins than me. So I don't know. Is he? Maybe Turner did say that, but is he just playing the game and trying to like throw Monty off, who may not know, or is that true? I need to figure that out. All right, it doesn't feel like she won anything, but if I remember correctly, they have said it a few times already. All right, Jay, I'm gonna look into it. It don't sound like you're like standing behind it. You're more or less saying that that's what you heard, that's what you've seen, and I'm with you on that. So Jay, let's double check that together. I will look into that to see if she actually won 4 vetoes. Again, I don't remember, but I could be wrong, because I've been wrong about a lot in this season. But anyway, folks, I'm going to end this one here, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes or less to discuss what should Monty do. All right. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Peace.